Today is Thursday, and it is the start of another writing vlog. I have been only really getting a chance to write on Thursdays and Fridays, maybe sometimes on the weekend. But with my final class in my degree program coming to a close, I wanted to just make sure that I have everything in order in that part of my life. And so my writing has taken a little bit of a back seat. Yeah, so today I'm going to write, and I really wanted to focus on the setting in the chapter that I'm writing. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity to discuss setting in fiction writing, really in any writing. So setting consists of landscape, location, the climates, weather, politics, religion, time of day, date, and it also includes societal norms such as laws, rules, any kind of thing that really determines the surrounding environment in which your characters are living in. And these things are important to your setting. You should be selective, and the things should be significant, because your setting really works to create the mood of your story or your chapter or whatever it may be. Like a dark and rainy setting can cultivate a sense of foreboding, can cultivate tension, and they all add to your narrative. It also establishes context. It allows for other elements in the narrative to work. So, for example, if you think of Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, in which the main character is in Europe, it allows him access to all these great works of art, all of this important historical information, and it just, the setting is accurate to the narrative. It is adding to the narrative, which is the next point that I want to make. Your selection of your setting should support your narrative, meaning that your setting should almost be considered another character. And in order to make your setting really work for you and for your narrative, you really want to single out the most important aspects of that setting, whether that be the time period, the religion, the politics, the weather. It just depends on what your story is and where you're taking it. In doing so, you want to convey the important things, and one of the best ways to do that is by using abstract words as well as specific details. So one way to immerse your reader in your setting and make it come alive to them is to appeal to all five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. All of these things the human mind uses to recognize their surroundings. And so we shouldn't forget that when we're writing a story, because as a reader, in order to be fully immersed, all of those things are coming into play. Think about when you go on vacation. You smell the aromas of the food, or you feel the warm sun on your face. You hear the birds, you're touching the sand. All of these things, they work together to really make the setting vivid. So, and it just, it allows for a deeper perception of the surrounding setting. Another thing that I also mentioned when I were talking about character development is the use of figurative language. And by figurative language, I mean in imagery and similes, metaphors. All of these things are abstract ways of appealing to your reader. Like how I mentioned that you want your setting to almost be another character in your story. A great way to do that is to add anthropomorphism or personification, which are basically assigning human attributes or human qualities to inanimate objects things like animals or houses or even concepts. And by doing this, you integrate emotion and feeling, as well as making it recognizable and relatable to your reader, because these are things that all humans think, feel, understand, and it is a good way to really integrate your reader within your narrative. And other things that go along with the figurative language are analogies, such as similes and metaphors and imagery, comparing two things that maybe are more understandable by your reader. So a simile uses like, so saying the bird flew like a kite, or using imagery, which integrates the five senses. It is descriptive language, which helps the reader to visualize what you are portraying. Metaphor is comparing one thing to another, even though they are not literally the same. So saying one thing is the other thing. Saying the man was a statue on the bench. I mean, he's not literally a statue, but he must be sitting very still. Another important thing is motif. Motif is a recurring image or element or idea that has some sort of symbolic significance within your story. And this can be the setting. So these are all reasons for you to make sure that you nail your setting, to plan and to make it intentional. Make your setting intentional, just as you make your characters intentional, just as you make your plot intentional, because the setting is another way for the author to set the tone of their book. And the tone is the attitude that the author or the narrator has towards the subject matter of the story. So all of these things also help you to show your reader and not tell them. So instead of saying it was a cold day on the beach, you would maybe say, it felt as though I had stepped into a freezer. So all of this to say is you don't have to be very literal in your descriptions. You want to be creative in how you share the setting with your reader. It is not just tense in the city, but a blanket of animosity smothers the few residents out on the streets. But just don't go overboard. There's nothing worse than a book that is so dense with description that you have to wade through it. You want it to be natural and flow within the action of the story, just like you do with the character. Instead of info dumping descriptors of the character's physical attributes, you sprinkle them through the narrative, and it is a much more digestible part of your story. Another thing to consider, and this will be my final kind of talking point in this little sit down, is to consider whether your setting is integral to your story. Does it directly support the plot and the characters, or is it just a backdrop? It's unobtrusive to your story. These are important to note because this will determine how much emphasis you put on your setting. So one thing that I have found really helps me is to create a vision board for my story, to gather images that reflect the setting that I am striving to achieve. It doesn't have to be exact, obviously, because this is my own setting, my own idea, but I can pull images off of the internet that maybe give me some inspiration and will remind me of elements that maybe I may have forgotten about when I'm kind of in the flow of writing. So that's another thing I thought maybe we could do together today. Today will be a write at home vlog, and then tomorrow I plan on visiting a quaint little cafe in the small downtown area of Greenville here. And then also on Saturday we may go to the actual downtown area of Greenville and just do a little walking and enjoying the surroundings. Greenville is a beautiful city. It is very safe and just really well taken care of. It is a friendly city. It has been drawing a lot of attention and new residents. So I will certainly share that if I make it down there, and yeah, let's get to it. I have not written since Friday, so almost a week ago. I am actually excited to get back into the chapter that I'm in. So yeah, enough talking, let's go. I I thought that I would talk about my vision board. These are some images that I found online that kind of stood out to me and what I wanted to emulate somewhat in my story, just kind of an idea, things to include, just some concepts. This first image here is of the aliens, which I used this in a very general form when I created my alien-like characters. Mine are a bit more human-like than the ones here. This next picture, this kind of sand dunes looking scene, is what I imagined some of their structures, their living structures to look like. The aliens in my story, they dwell mostly underground, and they are in these, rocky terrain, kind of limestone or some form of stone like cave dwellings underground. And I like the way that the texture in this picture looked and the coloring, so that was my inspiration there. Then down here, the planet is Earth-like in that it has water like seas, but it also has a desert area and as well as like a forested area. Those are the main composition. That's the main composition of this planet. So this picture here with the setting sun would be their seas. I like how this has some ice and iceberg type formations. I enjoy the skyline in this picture too, as well as looks like there may be some moons over here in the backdrop. As well as this next one, this is my main concept for the desert area. I like the rocky outcroppings and also the coloring and the big moon in the background. Same here, the green area, similar to the purplish one in that they have these rocky like formations. And so I imagine this to be kind of the in-between. So this would be like the gradual decline from the desert area into the green forested area where there's still rocky formations, but the green is starting to take hold. And then this picture here, I imagined would be part of the cave system that they live in, this kind of grotto. Maybe it is part of their underground system. And then over here we have just some flora and fauna that are very alien-like and colorful. I really like that aspect. And then down here I have just some ancient, I think they are Sumerian or Egyptian, I can't remember where I pulled them, but gods. And so I just thought that this was interesting. I'm not necessarily using that, but seemed to fit in with the themes and things that I had going on, so I pulled that there. I will add some more to this because the scene that I am working on is currently in a scene and it's taking place underground in their dwelling in this kind of cavernous meeting room in which the goddess is entertaining the earthers for the first time. This is their first encounter and meeting. And so I want it to be very kind of foreboding and have the feeling of them being trapped, but not. They're underground. They don't really know what they've gotten themselves into at this point. And so I want the setting to reflect that mood and that tone. I want it to be dark and eerie and curious. So with that in mind, I may search for more images and get to writing. Okay, so I found just a few images for the underground setting that I will use for inspiration. As you can see, the one here on the left, the kind of irregular shape of the tunnels, how it's weird shaped. I like that. I really like this bottom one here, although this seems a little bit more refined because it has railings and arched buttresses or the archways. I don't know about that one. But then this one over here, I like how it is showing the scale of it, the size, and I like the green mossy addition to the rock, and as well as that sunlight coming through. I'm thinking this could be kind of an exit area or something. I'm not really sure, but like I said, these are just inspirational, nothing set in stone. Just wanted to share that with you. Happy Friday. So I am on my way to a cafe to get some writing done. So yesterday I only ended up writing about 400 or 500 words, not very much. So I'm hoping to knock out about 1,500 words or so today. And I think that sometimes writing at a cafe is easier just because there's less distraction with the internet, as long as I don't connect to the Wi-Fi. But I don't think I mentioned that my goal for this book is to try to hit around 80 to 100,000 words. Right now I am around 14,000, so I have quite a ways to go. And while in this chapter I'm really focused on the setting, I know that my next goal is going to be plotting. I am not a great outliner, a great plotter. I have found that for me, a lot of times just kind of going with the flow of things actually works better. Although I do feel like I need to have an end goal and important milestones in order to get there and to have the story be everything that I hope it will be. I really feel like I need just buckle down and just get it done. So after I finish this chapter, that's the next goal. So that will probably be next week, because today and tomorrow, if I get a chance to write, my main kind of focus at the moment is the setting in this scene. As I mentioned, I feel like it's really important, very integral, if you will, to the story, and I need to kind of nail it. So that's the goal, that's the plan. I will see you at the cafe. Goodness, that cafe was so cute, but it was very packed, and yet I had a little bit of a wait to even get the coffee and then find a table. But I did, and I ended up only writing about 1,000 words, which is a little bit less than I wanted. I wanted 1,500, but I am hoping that I will have time on Sunday probably to write some more, so that should be able to get another 500 on Sunday. I am happy with the setting so far. I definitely think it could be better. But you know, it's a zero draft, so it doesn't have to be perfect yet. I just want to get the basics down, really, and I want to traffic. Gosh, it's Friday. Why aren't you people at work? But yeah, so I want to just really be able to envision the setting when I come back to it, so that I don't have to restart over each time I visit each main setting within my story. That, you know, if I kind of get it down well enough the first time, that it should be easy enough for me to get back there when I am revising. So yeah, so I'm kind of at the end of this chapter anyway, so I want to start the next chapter, which will be my characters learning and discovering more about this planet and these aliens and the society and the social structure and the hierarchy, kind of how things work there. So that's where I am. I know I've already kind of said this, but I am really loving writing this goddess creature. I wasn't really expecting to. Not really that I don't know. Okay, I was, of course, kind of focused on my main character, and so she was kind of an afterthought until I started writing her, and now I'm just like, I love her so much. So just intriguing to me and magnificent, and terrifying at the same time. At least that's what I'm hoping to convey. That's what I'm picturing. So yeah, more to come on her, more to come on my progress. I definitely, like I mentioned, want to kind of get into more on plotting. So that will likely be the next vlog and the next chapter, because I need to figure out where I am going. I need to have a plan. I need to just do it. Stop putting it off. I've kind of vaguely sketched out like what I think could happen, but I haven't laid it out. And because we'll talk about it later. I'm not even going to get into it. See you soon. Add I don't